So for Stranger's Wrath, what was your favorite level to design?
Uh, probably the farm because it had two modalities over time. Um,
Mm,
was McGraw the farmer? I forget the names.
I forget the
Yeah,
names
so
too.
when you actually McGraw was probably the bad guy. Anyway, so the first time you show up, the chickens are walking around like, call my friend up, see what they're doing, and they're like walking around picking apples. Picking apples. I don't even think we
Yeah,
had a
yeah.
picking enemy. The context was they were working. You show up and you're trying to find something that's hidden way at the top of the tower. So it's kind of like see if you can find this thing, search the premises, and the whole time the the chicken who runs the place is just talking your ear off like a nervous homeowner would when a plumber shows up.
Yep.
And there's lots of like subtlety in that level that I enjoyed. Probably the happiest moment Lauren I ever saw Lauren was other than when I designed the tutorial in like a week when we had to at the end. That was the story. But the happiest I ever made Lauren and Gotham and I with our levels, Gotham would sit right across from me. Gotham Bar, who's now he runs like CS:GO, I think at Valve now. He's been at Valve a long time. He and I would sit across from each other early on in the project, and it wasn't like an explicit challenge, but we had this like Lennon McCartney level designer thing where we try to like see. I felt like we were doing this. Maybe he's like, "What's Steve talking about?" I didn't think that at all. But I felt like we were trying to like do dueling banjos and try to get Lauren to get the most excited about something. And I won this one day because on that farm level, there's a window on the second floor. You don't ever have to jump out this window. But if you
Mm.
happen to jump out this window, I cut to a transitional camera where you can see yourself. You cut to the outside, you see Steve jump out the window, the stranger, and then land on the ground and seamlessly get back to follow cam. And
Mm.
Lauren happened to, as Lauren would do, he'd swing by your desk, and if your TV's on, he's just gonna sit down. And now for the
Start
next two
playing.
hours,
Yeah.
he's just gonna focus on whatever Lauren's focusing on. You got to take notes. You made up like I was working on something, but he'd give you feedback. And so he jumped out the window and he almost jumped out of his seat. He was so excited because Lauren's a cinematic storyteller. And
Mm.
it was the first time he experienced that kind of moment. And then, of course, he's like, put that everywhere. I'm like, but it only belongs in a context like that. I can't
Yeah.
apply that dumbly on everything. It's like, put that butter on everything. It's like, but it only belongs on toast. I'm not going to put it on my tires. A strange analogy. It's late here.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah. So that was one of my favorite levels to work on because also, as you know, we had our own C-based proprietary scripting language, and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
hadn't taught myself to code at that point yet. So, but I knew my way around logically, logistically, not logistically, but my logos was strong enough that I could, get some stuff done. And having to create this duality in the same level, because you go back to it later and you fight a boss there, having like this sort of the whole branching schema in that one level taught me a lot about how to it's like my first like tiny cell in my brain that has to deal with coding architecture like was born when I made that level. It was a
Yeah.
tiny little baby cell, but it was a big deal having a level that becomes two different levels over time. I really enjoyed working on it, so that's probably my favorite.
Yeah. I had a similar aha moment when I was I had to do all the boss fights, or at least three of
Mhm.
them. And
Yeah.
so I had to get into that scripting language pretty deep. There was at
Yeah.
least one point where I kind of gave up and I'm like, I cannot find this invulnerability frame or figure out how to create a gap so that you can punch him out of the air.
Yeah.
And I had to hand it off to Charles.
I
Apparently
had
that was the deciding moment where Lord decided he couldn't work with me anymore.
Oh, it was that.
I think so.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it was fun to hand stuff off to Charles. A true story. Charles, I think the most upset, but also kind of like he was smiling, but the most upset Charles ever got with me is when I was making an interior and I'd set up this logic in this script, this rather monolithic script. Now that I think about it, that used triggers to count how many Wolvarks remained in the space, and it's so simple, so simple. It's like if there's 5 Wolvarks, so they're calling out the sort of banter like, let's get them, boys. They're confident. When there's like 3
Yeah.
left, they're like, oh man, this guy's tough. When it's down to like 2, it's like, tell my wife I loved her. I love her. Like it's apparent. It was like not a confident system. It was me totally smoke and mirroring it, which by the way, real AI is a power trick. It's a theatrical power trick.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah,
not
for sure.
real AI, not like car driving AI. But yeah, Lauren saw it and he went down to Charles's desk. He's like, Charles, I don't know what you've been doing with the AI, but that is just phenomenal. The way they lose confidence like that. And Charles walks down to me and he's like, what did you do? And I'm like, I think I just made you have to write a better system through my
Damn.
But it's a great analogy for how prototyping should work. Like this, like clever people, designers or otherwise, kind of like like that. And then someone actually makes a system that is predictable and robust.
It's so true. Yeah, it was like with my snipers, it was something similar. And Gotham was like, the biggest compliment Gotham ever paid to me was like, yeah, I just copied your sniper script because it was better than anything I came up with. And I'm like, all right, well, thank you.
That's the most like passive form of mentorship, is like you just do better work than people around you and they end up copying. That's a great compliment. Yeah.
It certainly inspired me that day.